What is up, everyone? Nathan Sample here, and welcome to episode 3 of the Game Juice podcast. This episode has been really delayed. I've been planning on doing it for a long time, and to be honest, I was scared. I made 2 episodes that I was actually happy with, and then I was scared of messing it up with the third one. But here with me is my buddy Nathan Sifu. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience a bit, my dude?
Hello there, welcome. I'm glad to be on the podcast. And so I've been doing Let's Play videos for about a few years now. I was about to say 3 years, but it's actually been closer to about 5.
Yeah, it's been like 5 or 6 for you, I think.
Yeah. Actually, you're probably right. It is probably closer to 6, and I've just been grinding away and continuing to do that, and then improve the formula in terms of like how I capture it, and just I find that it hasn't gotten. I haven't faced burnout with it. Like I've actually been enjoying it more and more, especially lately. Actually.
Yeah. Because everyone hasn't had much to do because of the whole COVID thing to begin with, anyways. So it's very, very helpful to have other crap to do. I've actually been streaming way more since the whole COVID-19 thing has happened, and
that's good.
It's been really relaxing. I actually helped one of my buddies reach affiliate during this time, which was really dope. Nathan Sifu's. Why am I reading your name like you're not right in front of me? To anyone listening in audio, I'm reading the Twitch chat in front of me, twitch.tv/Nathan Sample Games, and Sifu, who I'm interviewing, just said, things look great in stream, and I just read it like Nathan Sifu said, as if you're not right there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you was, first of all, go ahead and start off with where you're from generally. Don't give too much info.
Of course. So I would say, broadly speaking, I'm on the eastern side of Canada.
All right.
And that's about as close as I want to get.
So you're generally to the east in Canada, in other words.
Yeah. I don't want to say specifically how far east, because I mean, even if I said specifically what province I'm from, that's still pretty big. But I like to give as little information as possible in that regard.
Yeah, and that's perfectly reasonable to begin with. Second question, I've got my show notes over here to my right, so if I'm kind of looking back and forth, that's why. What were some of your favorite games growing up?
So, when you say growing up, actually, what ages would you say exactly?
We can split it into different eras, actually. We can have, when you were really young, and then when you were kind of adolescent aged.
Okay, actually, that's a good way to do it. So when I was younger, I would definitely say that my favorite types of games were platformers. Like the first game I ever played was I can't remember if I was 5 or 6 years old. It was but it was the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES. It was the first game I ever remember playing, and I've been hooked ever since. And
that's a really good start, to be honest. I think my first game, I think I said it in the first episode of the show. It was my first console was a Genesis. I think the first game I played was like Toe Jam and Earl or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I started off with. And what were some games you played as a teenager that you were really into, or generally like adolescent age?
Well, around that time, that was when the Nintendo 64 was coming out.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my first break into the 3D realm. And man, I tell you, that was when you've been doing pretty well nothing but side scrollers your whole life. Because I wasn't really into the Final Fantasy games. I don't know, the RPG games that just have all kinds of options and stuff. That was never really my thing, and still isn't mostly.
Yeah.
But then when I broke into the realm of Z-axes, man, that just blew me away. It was the first 2 games were that I had on the 64 were Mario 64, of course, and Shadows of the Empire. And I remember thinking how detailed it was to see the AT-AT Walker and see both guns reel back as you fired them. and I just thought, holy shit, look at the detail. But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
really funny, by the way, talking about games like Shadows of the Empire in that light nowadays. Because nowadays, like I've been playing GTA 4 on stream, and like I played Dead Rising the other day.
right,
And those are games from like over 10 years ago, I believe. Maybe not
yeah,
quite, but they're very old games. And they look almost like real life to me. And now everyone's like,
yeah,
oh, 4K, oh, 8K, oh, ray tracing and all this. And I'm like, what? Dude, do you know how freaking good the games just from like last gen and the gen before are? I'm still surprised
yeah,
watching 3D Mario in
yeah.
high
Seriously,
definition. It's insane.
yeah. No, it's nuts to see that kind of, and that's why whenever I hear somebody complaining about it's just like, oh, it only goes up to 720p. It's like, shut up, you can't even see it.
It's true. No one can see that crap. Like,
Yeah.
everyone
Well, I
says
think,
that. A lot of the games that are in 1080 are upscaled, and a lot of 4K games are upscaled from like 2K to begin with. It's just how it's
I
done.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was either 6.2 or 8.2. There was a point 2 in there. In terms of resolution, like that's as
Yeah.
high as the human eye can possibly perceive.
I thought it was like
So
4.2.
I can't remember. Maybe it was 6. I think it was definitely more than 4.
Yeah.
But it wasn't much higher. So like we're already pretty much at the realm where we're at resolutions that your eyes physically can't possibly see the difference anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like what I have read about in regards to that, a whole the 4K and the 8K and all that. Apparently, the only way you could feasibly tell the difference is if you're looking on a huge monitor. So
Right.
if I had like a huge flat screen right in front of me, that is how you would tell the difference. Kaya in chat says, I have seen the rerun. I was in 5 times. I believe he's talking about the previous episode with me and Static. And if so, thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's a thing regarding the size of the monitor. And the thing is, most consumer monitors, like this right here behind me, for those listening in audio, you can't see it, but I have like, what, like a 15, 20? I don't know. I don't know the size of this. This is a small television, okay? Most monitors are like this size, to be honest. You're not going to be able to tell the difference.
No, no. Yeah, like even a monitor like that of that size, if like between 1080 and 4K, I mean, you literally have to be sitting directly in front of it to be able to tell the difference. There's
You have
no
to
way.
you have to be sitting there freaking cooking your eyes. Just have your eyes like right on it, like
Yeah, your nose touching the screen.
just absolute eye cancer levels of closeness.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, what got you into gaming and what got you into streaming? Who did you watch? What inspired you to begin your journey streaming and making content?
Well, in terms of what got me into gaming as a whole, it was just trying it, when I was a kid and just feeling how awesome it was.
Yeah.
And then it never, that feeling just never let go. But
It
in terms of
never
how
does.
No, it never does. But in terms of streaming, that was actually much different. When I first heard of the idea of live streaming your gameplay and other people can watch it, I thought it was kind of an interesting idea, and I didn't quite get the appeal of it. And then it was fairly shortly after I had moved into the house that I'm in now.
Yeah.
I had been married for less than a year, and I had the Xbox One, and it had this built-in streaming feature, and I thought, you know what, let's
give it a
this
shot.
try. Yeah, and that was kind of how it all came tumbling after, because then I found out that I could not only extract the VODs to YouTube, but then also slice them up and edit them. And I was just like, oh no, this is becoming a thing, isn't it? And it became a thing, all right.
What's really fascinating about that, by the way, is you helped me get into streaming. There were other
Really?
factors that helped me decide, but I was really, really against it. Because for me personally, I was terrified of the idea of like, well, what if I say something dumb? Then it'll be out there forever. I learned to edit when I was like 13 years old, and I was very, very dedicated to editing. I was like, I'm going to edit. I want to make everything perfect. I'm going to make sure that there are no mistakes. I don't say anything dumb. So,
Right, which you obviously can't do on stream.
yeah, it's literally impossible. And so I remember having a conversation with you one day when we had first met, because we first met through VidMe. I believe
right.
I watched one of your Sonic CD videos, and I was like, hey, man, this is cool, whatever, whatever. And at some point on some social media or in DMs on VidMe or something, you told me, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch. And I was like, what is Twitch? What is streaming? And you literally were just like, oh yeah, it's this place where you live stream your gameplay and everyone can watch it and comment. And I was literally just like, who would ever want to do that? That sounds like hell on earth. And I was so terrified. Just the concept of it freaked me out so much, dude.
Yeah, it's funny that kind of like, I think once I got to about university age, that was when I kind of stopped being afraid of speaking publicly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see why it's not for everybody. I can see why it says like, wait, I'm going to be in a live broadcast. What are you insane? I can certainly understand that, you know.
Welcome on fire to the chat, by the way. How you doing, my dude?
Well, they're on fire.
Yes. What is funny to me, though, I was mostly okay with talking in front of a crowd, like on a stage. You know, I was okay with that. What scared the crap out of me is like when you're talking to a crowd on stage and you kind of fumble or you make a mistake or you do something dumb. Most of the time, to a degree, they'll kind of be courteous to you and they'll kind of like let some things slide. Yeah. I was scared of like the fact that people on the internet don't have to do that. So you're going to get way more honest sort of conversation. You're going to have people really be freaking mean to you there. And that scared the crap out of me.
You mispronounced the word. You fucked up. You're done.
Pretty much. That's what I was so freaking scared of. And I was really hard on myself like the first year or so that I streamed. And then what I learned over time is the more that you do it, the less of an issue it becomes. The more like, whew, it's okay, it sort of gets for you. And that's kind of how it is for me. Like, I've also noticed when I stop streaming for a long period of time, I can get over stage fright. But when I come back, I'm like, I gotta do good. I gotta do a good job. And then I kind of adjust to it. And I'm like, oh, wait, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
And it's it's really freaky.
Yeah, the only thing that I worry about ever showing on stream is
your pee-pee.
No, when I get if I ever get like actually angry when I'm playing, I might get like kind of playfully angry, but like there's definitely been a few times streaming Wings of V that I got really literally actually angry.
I was probably there with you during those times.
Yeah, I think the last time I streamed it, you were there for it. I've actually, which I mean, slight side note, I've actually been recording that off stream now because I find when I don't stream it, the frame rate's better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that always makes me nervous because I'm showing a side that I don't think is really me.
Yeah.
But it certainly is me at that very moment.
This is what I would say to that and to anyone who streams in general. You're a person, you feel emotions, that's kind of just reality. Because my thing is I hate raging on stream in general. That I've always hated doing that, just because for me it's not even that I'm scared of showing rage, because I feel like emotions are just emotions. If I feel sad, that's not me. If I feel happy, that's not necessarily me. If I feel angry, that's not me. My personality is kind of the whole of everything that I am. And so to me, stuff like that doesn't entirely bother me. It's just sitting here watching me get pissed off. I'm not a funny, angry guy. I'm an angry guy. Like, I was playing Dead Rising the other day, and that game is on a timer if you've ever played that. It has like a 3 or 4 day timer similar to Majora's Mask, and if you mess up a mission or if you mess up, you have to like restart, and it has a broken save system. So if you
good Lord.
in the game, there are little places where you can save your progress in the story. However, if you mess up, when you die in the game, it gives you the option to save and quit. I assumed that was the same as going to a save point in the game. No. What that does is that saves your level in the game. That saves the fact, like, I got to level 10, as in my character, like the RPG word for leveling.
Oh, no, that's even worse.
Yeah, it saves that you are a level 10 in regards to your actual character's abilities and such.
Oh, my God, that's bananas. That's bananas, man. Oh.
And so I died in the game in the middle of a stream after fighting a really hard boss. There's a clown in the game that juggles and throws chainsaws at you, and he took me so long and so much stress to beat. And then I died later in the game, and I hit, okay, I'll just save and quit, and I'll come back later.
No.
I came back later, and I started with the intro cutscene, and I had to go to GameFAQs and look at a 13-year-old forum to actually figure out what happened to my game.
Oh my God, that's such bananas, dude. Oh
God, I
feel that pain.
It was so frustrating, dude.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I can only imagine.
But by the end, I streamed that, and then the next day I came back and played through everything I'd already played through again.
Oh my God.
And then I got to a mission. You know how I told you the game was on a timer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got back to that mission, and the timer wanted me to like wait for like an hour in real world time for the next mission to start. And then I sat around and I waited for the mission to actually start. And by the time it was about to start, it had been an hour and a half maybe.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the timer in the game, it normally will only show a timer when a mission is happening. Apparently, it also shows a timer for certain story missions before they happen. So I thought the mission wasn't even queuing, and I just got pissed off. And at the end of the stream, I'm like, screw this game. Screw the developers who made it. They're idiots. This game is bad. I never want to play it again. And I just threw a fit. And I said, thank you to everyone who's watching. I'm out. This is garbage. It was the most infuriating thing ever. Oh my God.
Yeah, and, you know, there was a game mechanic too that actually had me not playing a zombie game as well, which was Dead Island.
Dead Island.
And,
all right.
Yeah, it was a game that I also thought was awesome at first. Think of it's almost like Fallout-ish, but you're on it's like an island resort. And it's a zombie problem. Seems like a pretty interesting premise.
That sounds like such a luxury vacation. Come to the tropical zombie island.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So that sounds all fine and good. And but there's two game mechanics that had me rage quit the game, and I never picked it up again.
Okay.
The map isn't a map.
What I mean
what I mean that is, it's this giant, huge map of an island.
Okay.
That shows where you are, like a "you are here" marker.
It's like a shopping mall.
And no labels. anywhere on the map. So like it's just like, yeah, you have to go to the the
So
southeast.
so
bungalow.
get out some graph paper right now and just kind of draw it. It's like when you're playing Metroid on the original NES, people would do that. They'd get out graph paper and freaking draw the map for the whole game.
Well, it's like it shows the map there in front of you, but there's no labels on it. So it's like you need to go to the
Go to the
122
potato-shaped
bungalow, and you're just
island
like-
over here.
and you're just like, where the fuck is that? So that was one infuriating thing about it. But the other thing, inexcusable, when you got hurt, it didn't matter what angle you got hurt on. It was just a red vignette that crept in from all sides of the screen. There was no indication as to where you were being hurt from, which is. And so somebody was like, well, you don't get arrows in real life. It's like, yeah, but you also have pain in real life.
I mean, in real life, when you're looking at a map, things are actually labeled, though.
Well,
They're actually written out.
Well, yeah, exactly. But the other thing is, like, if somebody bites you in the shoulder, you don't go, ow, I feel general pain in my entire body. Where's it coming from? That doesn't happen. You know immediately.
Look, man, you don't know how I deal with circumstances like that. I could very well do that. Kaya in chat says, Nathan, can you do a split screen instead of just swapping between screens? I can, and I do actually have a graphic prepared for that. I still like to cut around during the podcast, but I do have a split screen graphic. I just didn't have time to load it up before this one because I had about an hour of prep time and I couldn't find it on my my PC at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So it has an island, or it has a map that doesn't function, in other words.
Yeah, it basically has a completely useless map. And then besides that, like, and I remember I kept trying to get into this gas station. I remember it was a gas station that I was trying to get to, and I kept getting swarmed by zombies, and I never knew where they were hurting me from because there was no indicator. And I was just like, nope, fuck this game for the rest of my life. It's like
I know how that feels way too well, man.
Yeah. There's very few games that I've ever quit in such a manner, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I can feel you on that one. Kaya says, okay, it is fine. I mean, I hope it's fine since this is how a lot of like network shows do it anyways. They just kind of cut back and forth between the different cams and then they have a wide shot or something if they're in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my next question is, what are some of your favorite content creators, Sifu?
Now, this one I find a bit tricky to answer as well because there's always the split between. What was that?
just let it pass.
Sure.
To those, I don't think it's being picked up by my mic, but the phone is picking it up. Someone's arguing on the phone in the other room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I find that a fairly difficult question to answer because there's almost two categories. There's like big content creators, you know, the folks with millions of subscribers that I like to view, and then kind of the smaller creators, and I find that a little bit. I find it hard to.
You can kind of just split it into the separate categories, so you could have like the small content creators, the medium size, and the big, or you can have like small, big, or any way that makes the question palatable for you.
Right. Yeah. I'd say for big creators, probably my two favorites are the Game Grumps and Oni Plays.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they're just like some of the stuff coming out of their videos is like I would describe it as being cripplingly funny. Like
cripplingly funny.
Yes, because
that is the perfect way to put that, crowd, dude.
Because like I'm trying to like what was it, the other day I was trying to assemble this. It was after my wife and I had gone to bed, and so I decided to throw up some Oni Plays while I was assembling this dresser from IKEA.
Yeah.
And I couldn't lift the screwdriver at some part, so it was just.
I have the same experience. I was playing Fortnite one day, and I'll talk about that later in the podcast. I've actually been playing Fortnite recently, and it's actually been surprisingly fun. But
interesting.
Yeah. I was playing Fortnite one day and listening to Oni Plays It. They recently they released like a compilation of them messing with their friend Tomar. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay, they released this long compilation of them messing with their friend Tomar, asking him like these really dark hypotheticals like, what would you do if you
hypotheticals?
Yes, and it fits my freaking sense of humor so perfectly, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, their hypotheticals are really, really good.
Yes. They were asking him questions like what would you do if your wife came up to you with a knife and tried to kill you? What would you do if you were having a conversation with your boss?
Oh, that's just the whole thing? What would you do?
No. I'm distracted because I can hear someone in the other room, so I'm like looking over in a weird way.
Oh, okay.
Because I couldn't tell they're talking to me. They keep walking in and out of the hallway. But they were like, what would you do if you were talking to your boss and suddenly his mouth was twice the size it was before? And then you went to your house and talked to your wife. They always throw his wife into it. What'd you do if you went to your house and talked to your wife and you're like, babe, I had the craziest experience today. My boss had a larger mouth. And then she turns around from the sink and her mouth is also twice as big or something like that. Oh, it's so beautiful, dude. Oh my lord!
Oh my god, that's really funny. Yeah, but yeah, between those guys and Aaron Hansen, I think Aaron Hansen probably has given me the hardest laughs I've had in perhaps my whole life.
Yeah, we're having some low connection right now.
Oh really?
Yeah, you're like lagging real bad on your end or on my end. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I think I might know what that is. My computer is updating something.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can live with it either way. They can still hear you. You just sound a wee bit compressed, so it's no huge deal.
Okay. All right. What was I going to say about that? Yeah, and then as far as smaller content creators, I kind of have a few different ones for smaller content creators, just because they
say Nathan Sample Games.
Because they all kind of fulfill different forms of entertainment, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that you are on there. I don't always have time for like I don't necessarily have time for like the really huge long like the drops of entire VODs.
Yeah.
But whenever you do like the shorter videos, I can usually tune in for some of those. And well, basically, my favorite moments are basically like, at the beginning of your videos when you say that may contain topics or discussions that others may find upsetting. When you get to those upsetting moments, those are my favorites.
Okay, please tell me what you mean. Like, what are the upsetting moments for you then that you find funny? Because now I'm fascinated.
Usually, just when you say like. When you typically say a word that somebody would just say, you can't say that word. You're just like, that's...
Are you talking about when I say stuff like retard or something like that? Well, yeah, I don't understand the word retard and why that one in particular is such a big deal anyways. Because I get it, if you're talking to someone who is mentally disabled, it's wrong. But...
Sure, yeah.
No one uses it like that. And from what I've been told, they don't even psychiatric doctors apparently, from what I've been told, don't even use that themselves anymore because it's too dark or whatever that's been sullied. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically like it is still technically a medical terminology, but they don't use it anymore.
And if they don't use it anymore, why is it considered an insult at all? Now it is just the colloquialism, whatever the term is. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. Well, I mean, especially when it's just one of those things. It's one of those leftover things that just doesn't make sense. Like like especially when you consider like medically speaking. The term, because apparently idiot is also a medical term.
Yeah.
But that is actually a few IQ points actually lower than the medical term for retarded. So technically,
so an idiot is dumber than a retard. In other words.
Yeah, so really, idiot should actually be more offensive, but it's not apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very, very interesting.
yeah, I thought so too.
I think I said that the other day when I was playing Dead Rising. I'm like, that's retarded. This game is stupid. Like, I just freaking threw a fit. I was so mad at that gosh darn I just non-ironically said vid game.
Yeah. um, but yeah, so my other smaller.
They're all Nathan Sample games. There's no others.
Yeah, it's just Nathan Sample games. That's all I watch.
Yeah. 24/7. You have it on the TV all the time.
Yeah, so off the top of my head, I know I'm gonna miss some. It's like an ever changing answer basically. But off the top of my head, I really like to watch Indie Timmy for just generally entertaining Let's Play videos.
Right.
I like watching the Krillcast because they do kind of a nice covering of topics throughout the week with where they have guests every week. I was one of them actually.
And you were on that channel, weren't you?
Yeah. And because what they do is they record like for the episodes of that week, because they have like manic Mondays and basically a theme of every day of the week.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they have a guest on and they record like every day
6,000 episodes a day.
Yeah. So they record their 5 episodes, in one session, and then they have that person as a guest, for an entire week on their channel.
Yeah.
It's really great for them. They've had Indie Timmy on there.
Now, who exactly is Indie Timmy? Because I've never actually heard of him. I have heard of Krillcast because I know that you're on them, or you were on them.
Yeah, Indie Timmy is another a content creator. He's actually fairly big on YouTube. Actually, he has about I think he has close to 6,000 subs actually.
Really?
He's a bit smaller on BitChute. Like he picked up on BitChute fairly recently, and then I can't remember where his sub count is on BitChute, but yeah,
22.
22. Yeah. So but even with that, some of his numbers are actually still quite comparable to his YouTube channel. So it just goes to show. But
22 is comparable to 6,000.
Sorry. I meant in terms of interaction and view count, is comparable. Is what I meant to say.
No, they're comparable though, because I can look at 22 and then compare it to 6,000 and be like, that's not as many. Isn't that what comparable means to begin with?
I mean, I suppose so.
There we go. Problem solved. Any number can be comparable with another number. You just have to be dumb enough to do it.
So yeah, and then also Colors of Gaming was also featured on the Krillcast, which brings me to my next point. Colors of Gaming. Colors of Gaming it's usually the guy who goes by Red as his
Now, are they all named after colors?
Yeah, there's Red, and then usually the guest he has on is Orange. Blue was on for a while, but Blue had to leave the show
because he was Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die.
Fuck.
Yes.
Did you know when I first heard that song, I actually thought it was a Christmas song.
What?
Because I thought they were saying Feliz Navidad.
What?
In the song.
I'm so confused. How do you manage that?
Because when they were saying, I thought they were saying I'm blue, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad. That's what I thought they were saying because I first heard the song.
In fairness, saying dabba dee dabba die, that doesn't sound like anything to begin with. So I can see what you're getting at.
It's not actual words being used. So
yeah.
Look,
man, okay, Fred Flintstone would disagree with you with the dabba part. Maybe not the die part, although I'm sure he has relatives who have died many centuries ago. I just dropped my water bottle on the floor. Talk for me.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So Orange is typically the guest that he has.
Orange is the new black.
Orange is the new black,
yes.
And then there's another one who doesn't actually appear on the show, but kind of helps behind the scenes. Green.
Yeah.
She does like the animations and the characters and stuff like that.
So since his name is Green, is he like really eager and spry all the time? Because he's young and he's green.
Well, I don't know, but that she actually does the Green's actually a she. She does,
so is she young and excitable?
No idea. She doesn't appear in any of the episodes because I guess she doesn't really like to be on camera or microphone so much. but she does like some of the artwork and the animations and stuff. And
what if she appeared in one episode, but the way that she appeared was she kind of just like she's in the background. She kind of just like.
Oh, just hearing
you kind of hear it just like lean over, like way in the background. It almost looks like a demon. She just pops her head up like, and then walks away.
I'd like to see her animate that actually.
They can animate her into an episode. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'd like to see that actually. But yeah, what they primarily do is kind of like, I guess you could say it's kind of like a games review or talk about games kind of thing, because they'll kind of do like a review of the game, but then they'll kind of talk about the game at length and talk about like the whole plot of it, like from beginning to end. They'll talk about like even spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just find that Red has really interesting takes on it. Like how like when say Red Dead Redemption 2 came out,
wait, he died and then he got redeemed?
No, I mean the game Red Dead Redemption. I just got that.
You just got it, didn't you?
I just got that.
Yes. God, my terrible dad jokes are freaking on point today.
Now that one almost snuck past me. That was pretty good. You basically couldn't go anywhere online without hearing nothing. You would only hear positive things about that game. But even in the thumbnail of the video, he was kind of shrugging, and basically his review was just like, yeah, this game's just kind of okay. And I thought that was immediately an interesting take. It was just like, oh, really? He's not just, I don't want to use a certain metaphor, but he's not
being contrarian, or he's not jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. He gives an honest look at a game without just jumping on a bandwagon, which I really appreciate.
I think a lot of people play games only because their buddies play them as well. So I think that's why a lot of people are like, no, this game is great because my friend says. It's like, who's your friend? Mitchell's my friend. And he has all the opinions and I listen. Nothing else.
I like the games Mitchell likes.
Yes. I like to ride my bicycle down the road to Mitchell's house, and then we'll play COD, and then we'll eat celery and oh my God. Sifu, we're both losing our minds.
Well, it's been. I'm a little low on sleep, but I'm okay. So I really like. Colors of Gaming. Let's see. I mentioned Crowcast and Timmy. I also like a guy on. I think he's on YouTube as well. But
his name is T Series.
No, God, no.
Mr. T Series.
He's a guy on BitChute, and his name is Infamous J. And he does.
The J stands for joint.
I'm not sure, but he's more of an old school Let's Player, like in the way that he
does he play Minecraft?
No, not in that sense. He typically does more retro games, and he doesn't use like necessarily like the most up-to-date equipment. It's kind of which actually I don't say that as a negative. I actually say that as kind of a quality, because it kind of feels like I'm going.
It feels like you're going back in time in a way.
Yeah. In terms of just watching older style Let's Play videos, that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because he just he typically has big reactions whether he wins or loses, and he does a pretty good job of making that funny.
Does he use like a Dazzle or something? Like what does he use equipment wise?
Oh, I have no idea.
But, okay.
but it just sort of has an older quality to it that I really like, actually. Like I
Yeah.
feel like if he got like a Yeti or a Blue Snowball, I feel like that would actually be a downgrade for the quality of his videos. I feel like that would actually be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I know there's definitely others that I would like to mention, but that I'm just I can't.
YouTube.com/John Stamos from Full House.
I don't think that's one of them.
He really loves John Stamos. He likes the Mary Kate and Ashley channel. Jake Paul,
No.
Morgs. He really likes Morgs. You ever watch Morgs?
Morgs, like
Morgs.
is that an actual YouTube?
That is a child, like a 14-year-old, who tries to rip off Mr. Beast all the time.
That doesn't sound like anything that interests me. At all.
It is the worst. He is not entertaining in the slightest, and his videos have horrid acting.
Is he as bad as Fred?
Oh God, that's a good question. They're both the worst. You gave me an interesting thing to think about, Sifu. God, now I'm gonna go to bed at night thinking about which is worse now.
Oh God, that's got to be bad then.
Well, he does like terrible videos. I haven't watched many of them. I think I watched 2 of them. There's like one random video where he was just like, what the freak was he doing? He was sneaking around his own house. He said he's supposed to be on a sleepover with his friends or some crap, but he snuck back into the house and he was trying to go undetected the entire time, and it's just really awkward to watch, to be honest with you, because it's clear everyone's acting. And they're not
Right,
good
yeah.
actors. Like these people like would not make it in a porno. They're terrible.
I really feel like, as a general rule, you probably shouldn't upload anything online until you're, say, 20,
35.
21, 35. Yeah,
Yeah.
until you're 1 year older than I am right now. that's when you want to start uploading content, because you're gonna regret it, especially if it's content from when you're a teenager. You're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna delete my YouTube channel. Just all of it.
What's really sad is this kid's channel is pretty successful as well.
Really?
Because it appeals to like 12-year-olds. It's like
Sure.
it's a kid making videos for kids, and the kids eat that crap up because they don't know that it's acting. You know?
Right. Yeah, I suppose. I
Yeah.
suppose it's a working formula.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a working formula, because in like 2 years, when their frontal cortex starts to form itself a little bit better, they're gonna be like, that crap sucks, dude.
And when his voice gets a little deeper.
Hello, everybody. My name is Morgs. Sup? My name's
Yes.
Morgs. Today I'm gonna
have a
go
little-
buy a Ferrari and throw money at people.
It's just gonna happen in the middle of a sentence, like hi everybody, my name's Forbes. Whoa.
That actually happens in an episode of Family Guy. Peter talks about his balls dropping or something. He's like, "Hey guys, you want to play some baseball?" Dude, old Family Guy was actually not bad at all.
I used to be a really big fan of old Family Guy, but then I don't know, they just started sucking. It just
It
one day I was just like, you know what,
went
this show
from them
fucking
having
sucks.
actual jokes in the show. You know, they would
Yeah.
actually. It's a raunchy show. It's an adult show. But it
Sure.
went from them having real jokes with a setup and a punchline that were funny to, let's just say something offensive. Let's do something offensive. And it's like, but
Yeah.
what's the joke? The joke can't just be, look, the baby punched the dog for literally no reason. Look,
Yeah,
he's beating his daughter for no reason at all, period. There's no, like, why is he doing it? What's his
Yeah,
motivation?
It's not really a punchline. I don't see.
It's just
how
a thing
supposed to be
happening
funny.
at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Or how a lot of their parodies got to the point that they weren't even parodies anymore. They were literally just blatantly ripping off a scene completely,
Yes.
but replacing the characters with Family Guy characters. It's just like, this isn't parody. This isn't funny. Like,
A reference is not a joke or a parody. It's just saying, remember that thing, you know?
yeah, can't remember this, but now with Peter.
I mean, they do that all the time. There was like there's an episode I watched that was making fun of like, what was it? They referenced Revenge of the Nerds. And it was
Yeah.
like one of those episodes that's like like an anthology episode where they're like, here's this story and here's that story and here's this story. And in this episode, they were back in time to like the 18th century, and they ended the episode with them like doing the song from Revenge of the Nerds or something. Like,
Oh,
it was just weird. Like,
that is really
it was
weird.
just it was literally them just referencing a thing, and there's no reason for it. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the show really did go downhill.
Well, what also happened was they got canceled. They had like a really good run for like 3 or 4 seasons, I think. Then they got canned, and then they brought it back, and then they got canned, and then they brought it back, and now they're at a point where they just keep renewing it the same way they do to The Simpsons because it still makes money, even though it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, I'm still quite blown away that The Simpsons still makes money. Like, I don't understand who's still watching it. Like, like I don't know. I don't even know of anybody personally who still likes it. Like, even people like my friend Joey was probably like the longest time fan of The Simpsons until he just cut it off one day. He's like, no, Simpsons is shit now. And yeah, I just can't picture anybody who's still an avid fan of The Simpsons. I don't know.
I like old Simpsons, but to be honest with you, I've seen some episodes that are just like, okay.
Yeah.
She's
yeah,
yelling. It's for anyone watching. I just looked over because someone's yelling at the dog in the other room.
Oh.
The dog's acting up, I think. But
Yeah.
I think that's what they were probably talking about earlier when they were walking around. But
Yeah, it's just like it's like older Simpsons was good
yes,
until that got old, and it's just like, yeah, I know this part line by line. It's like, this isn't fun to watch anymore.
well, like for me, for example, I watched The Simpsons back in the day, and a lot of the seasons that people say are terrible, they weren't that bad to me. But when you watch old Simpsons, the characters are characters. They've got flaws, and they've got strengths, and they're well-rounded. Marge had a drinking problem, and Homer wasn't just an idiot. He was just a very stern guy who was kind of dumb. He was kind of dull, you know?
Yeah.
And then as they went on, it went from like Marge being a well-rounded character to like, Homer, I am the wife character. And then Homer was like, I'm stupid now, and I have no other character traits.
Marge.
Marge. The family jewels, Bart. Remember the family jewels.
Yeah, they to me, basically, they have a bunch of classics that have outlived their time.
Yeah. It's an inherent issue with pretty much anything. It's like, how do I explain it? It's like there's a point where even though you can make money off of a franchise, you should end it there. Like, I'm not a big horror movie guy.
Yeah.
What was that?
For the integrity of it, yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm not a huge horror movie guy, but I have a couple horror movie series that I do like. One of the ones I enjoy is Halloween, and I haven't seen any of the newer ones, but I like the old ones. Okay?
Right.
Halloween-
John Carpenter's Halloween?
Huh?
John Carpenter's Halloween?
Yes, the original.
Okay.
This is my thing. They should have ended Halloween after the second movie. Simple.
Right.
So the first movie set up the character, set up his motivation. He gets away at the end of the movie. The second movie ends with him basically being dead. And then they had the third movie, which was Season of the Witch, which was trying to cement it as a an anthology series, but it just, people didn't buy it. This is my opinion. They should have either kept it as an anthology series, because you can do whatever you want with that, or kill it after the second one, because Michael Myers was as dead as humanly possible at the end of that. But they did some weird retcon where it's like, no, Michael Myers actually did this and he got away and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's dumb.
I don't like when they do that.
They did that at the end of Friday the 13th. I feel like that series should have been one movie, because I like the first movie. I'm for real. They should have ended it with the characters driving off and Freddy's dead. That's how they originally planned to end it, was as Freddy just being dead. And what they ended up doing instead was they had like this thing where the car turned out to be taken over by Freddy at the end, and the characters clearly die, even though they killed Freddy. Somehow he kills them, and it's just a cliffhanger to be like, look, hey, more movies. Making more movies.
Yeah.
Gotta make like 16 movies. It's like, stop making 16 movies.
That's why I thought it was so funny when you said it should have ended at one, because I know there's way more than one.
There's like 6, I think, Friday the 13th movies. There's
and then the crossover with Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, and then there's a remake, and I think they're planning on remaking it again.
Oh fuck! Stop with the remakes, for fuck's sakes.
But it's hard to start a franchise from scratch, because then you have to put in effort.
Yeah, and creativity and everything else.
Yeah.
Fuck. I would rather that instead of remakes, just re-release some of these old movies back in the theaters again.
Yeah.
Like, you know what would have been better than 3 shitty Star Wars movies? Re-airing 4, 5, and 6 before they added the CGI bullshit to it.
Yeah.
Put that in theaters again. It would have sold like fucking hotcakes.
I think they actually did that. They did like 1 through 3 in 4K, and then they did 4 through 6 as a way to hype up the new movies. So it was just like, hey, before you watch these, you can also watch these. And that was kind of their plan, I believe.
Yeah. I would much rather they do that than all these friggin' remakes, because like, I thought remakes were cool at first until I realized it was like, oh, this is just what they're gonna do now.
I think remakes can be cool if they put in honest effort. If they have a different story to tell, but using the same general outline or the same world. Like, for example, it's not a very good movie, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I appreciate it because it gives the opposite perspective. The entirety of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was Charlie. Charlie's life, Charlie's family. Most of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was all about Willy Wonka, which is funny because they're kind of swapped out in name.
Mm-hmm.
But that one just is better overall in terms of, as a remake, they do a lot more and show a lot more that the original didn't. And I like the Grinch remake because it's a completely different movie. I like it when they make new Batman movies because every single one is slightly different. And they're even if they're retelling the same story, there's a different flavor of Batman. There's campy 60s Adam West, and then there's like slightly kind of gritty 80s Batman. And then there's like the Tim Burton, like, Batman will just knock someone down a bell tower, but he didn't kill them somehow. Batman. And then there's like the Batman from The Dark Knight, which, to be honest, I like that movie, but it's kind of boring, to be honest.
Really, I thought that the first of that trilogy, the
Nolan,
the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
I thought the first 2 were fantastic, and then I thought the third one just laid a huge fart.
I have never seen the third one. I've seen the first 2. I couldn't make it all the way through Batman Begins because the camera work in it was constantly shaking and zoomed in. So imagine doing the podcast. If you have the preview up, this is what it'll look like. Imagine it like this. Like, hey, we're here with my friend Nathan Sifu right now. Aren't we having a great time? You know what I mean? Like, it's just imagine being shaken like an abused baby the entire time. You're watching a freaking action movie. It's obnoxious. I like to see the action on screen.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'll tell you what you should do instead of seeing the third one is
eat Doritos and sleep.
Yes. Don't bother watching it because it's just garbage. It just sucks. And today we've got this. It's like,
and I'm going to put my finger in your BB. He sounds like Jean-Luc Picard, by the way, but with a face mask. It's Picard during COVID. It's exactly what it is. It's just Jean-Luc Picard during COVID.
So what you should do instead of watching that shit is there's actually an animated Batman movie. It's a duology. It's and would work much better as a third movie to that sequel.
Yeah.
It was Dark Knight Returns.
All right.
Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2. I think they're each about an hour and a half. So when you combine them both together, you got like 3 hours. And it's good. It's really, really good.
Are those on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that?
I think it is actually. I think it is on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's basically the story of Batman who, as an old man who's retired, but he finds himself flipping through the channels, and it's nothing but bad news.
And he buys flex tape. And he starts buying like all these infomercial products, and then he makes a YouTube channel where he talks about them. And that's how Batman lives out his retirement. It's actually a very wholesome story. It distracts the people of Gotham from the constant terrorism that they face.
Yeah, no, he finds himself being pulled back in, like he's kind of like fighting it, like he's like, no, I don't want to go back to that lifestyle, but he finds himself being pulled back into it anyway.
I mean, to be honest, every time I watch Batman, even though he's one of my favorite superheroes, that is just a deeply unhealthy lifestyle.
Oh God, yes. Oh good Lord. I mean, especially when you look at the logistics of it, like based on even the fights he's winning, you understand?
Yeah.
He would actually have to take a break to wait for his bones to heal because I'm not sure if you know this, but there's actually this thing in Muay Thai boxing where they do a lot of kicking.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of shin collisions that happen. and so here's the thing. You can only do that so much. And I'll spare you the details of what it looks like when they don't allow themselves to heal, but oh God, it's hideous. Oh Lord.
I assume their freaking shins just break or something.
Well, okay, I'll say it. It's so what happens is the guy goes to kick the other guy, and the guy blocks it with his knee or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And as he's stepping back, you can see in slow motion the lower half of his leg is just kind of like a rubber boot. And
I saw a video like that on TV the other day. You ever watch like ridiculousness in some of these web shows or YouTube? These television shows that take YouTube videos and web videos and kind of display them for all to see.
Right.
There was one of those where this guy was wrestling this girl, and it was a playful thing. They weren't fighting. They were drunk at a party, and they were messing around.
No.
And he was wrestling a girl, and it's like, first of all, that's a bad thing, because if you lose, you lost to a girl. If you win, you just beat up a girl.
Yeah.
And he got the worst of both worlds, because the girl slammed him against a wall, and his leg, like, bent in, like it broke at the heel and just like went to the side in this weird way. And they were all like, dude, your leg's broken. And he's like, get me to a hospital.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, when you watch this show, this is an MTV show. It starts off with a warning saying, warning, we do not accept submissions of any kind. We will not open them. Don't submit videos of yourself doing dangerous activities. And it's like, all you show is dangerous videos. What are you talking about? You liars.
Yeah, I think that's a way of covering their ass because they know that if they don't say that, then people purposefully do dangerous shit just to try and get on the show. So
I assume that that's what it is, but it's really, really annoying to watch sometimes.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, my next question is, what are your feelings about the current state of online video and social media?
Right. Yeah, because those two are interwoven a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean the thing that we're finding about online videos is that YouTube is starting to, like, depending on what kind of videos you watch, YouTube is starting to lose its usefulness.
Yeah.
There's a certain number of things that you can search for, and they will still come up at at the top of the search results. Like, for example, if I'm looking for a game comes animated, usually not gonna have much trouble with that. But as a content creator, you'll find that your own stuff is getting suppressed, and it's not just that there's so many other people that are also uploading.
Though that is a factor, just to be fair.
Oh, sure, it absolutely is a factor. But it also gets to the point where you're searching right down to the exact name of the title, and it's still not coming up, and you're getting other stuff.
And also, YouTube promotes authoritative sources, quote
which is
unquote.
By far the worst part, because was it Susan Wojcicki was even fully admitted in an interview that she was talking to one of her engineers that said, like, look, this is not what people want to watch. This isn't actually what they're looking for, and their open statement was, we don't care, that's what we're putting. So
wow.
it's just
okay.
like, so you're going to put content first that your users don't actually want to watch. It's like there's something missing here, something really, really missing here, and so it's so in that sense it's losing its usefulness, and it's only going to get worse. And if you think
the only reason why people are still on YouTube, in my opinion, is because it's got a user base. If YouTube was a small startup right now, no one would even bother giving it a glance.
Oh God,
especially with all of their rules that they've got in place. Like, make family-friendly content, but don't make family-friendly content, but do make family-friendly content, but say it's not family-friendly. And then if you make family-friendly content, we'll throw you under the bus and say it's your fault.
Because what they do is they purposefully make their terms of service as confusing and as vague as possible so that
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, so they can ban whoever they want at a whim. So it's why somebody who can... is maybe perhaps uploading videos that's literally just them reading passages out of the Bible can have their entire channel deleted while Nicki Minaj, let's just say on display, shall we say, fully on display and talking about stuff.
Just stuff. It's just Nicki Minaj, talking about her life, talking about the kids, the family. It's very wholesome.
Fully 100% monetized.
Yeah. Well, that's different because they have a corporate backing or whatever.
Yeah, because that makes it somehow better. It's
I don't know, man.
Giant ass shaking on screen is the same if whether it's got a big backing or not. No pun intended.
Well, that has a very big backing. I would argue an artificial one, to be fair.
I was just going to say something about that.
my freaking cousin, many years ago, we were having a conversation and she's like not listening to me. She's just scrolling through Facebook on her phone. And then I'm like, Amber, what are you doing? And then she like shows me this video. It's like, look at these people who got fake booty implants, and there's concrete inside their like butt cheeks, and it's flipping upside down. Like they can take their butt cheeks and invert them because they just have solid concrete. You saw that?
I saw that. It was like she could flip it around and one side was totally like flat and just like, oh my God. I mean, at least round it on both sides.
I mean, I would say don't inject yourself with concrete, you retards. I'm just being honest with you.
Well, I mean, there's that.
Yeah,
I
like
was I was actually watching the I was actually watching something. I thought this was now it's this sort of weird, sounds weird to say, but it's a safer version of a butt implant. Um,
interesting. Is it when you
they
cut
just
off someone else's butt cheeks and replace them?
no. I was watching. I was watching an art stream that Solgren does. He's the same guy who made the game Wings of V and Roa.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the man likes to draw his waifus, that's for certain.
Yes.
So that's typically what he does on his stream, and I tune in every now and then because I can talk to him, and
You do it for
you know
research
I
purposes.
do it for research purposes. But it's pretty cool. I've managed to find out little tidbits of information from him. Like for example, I was like, "What does Solgren mean?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a brand of oatmeal we have here." I was like, "Oh,
That's uneventful.
yeah." But yeah, no, he made a joke that the character he was drawing had a what's called a BBL. I was like, wait, what's that? And apparently it's called a Brazilian butt lift, and it's when they take
It's when they
fat out of
take your butthole and lift it up.
it's when they take fat out of your tummy and put it in your butt. And so and I
Just the
just thought,
mental image of that sounds so deeply unpleasant.
but I mean, it's got to be safer than putting concrete in it.
True, true.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
If
I'm
anyone
not
wants
saying
to slap it, though, that'll discourage them.
I'm not saying I encourage or endorse either one, but I don't know. It seems like the latter would be safer.
Yeah. All right, so my next question is very vague, and I think you've already kind of answered it. It's just tell us about your content generally.
Uh, yeah. So what I do on my channel is primarily Let's Play videos, but it's not always
Yeah.
it's not always that. On the occasion, I will do. Sometimes it might be related to tech, like I might be reviewing an alt tech site or an update to the site or kind of vloggy
You
type
you kind
things.
of just give your thoughts about things sometimes.
Like sometimes I'll just sit in front of the camera and do kind of like a vlog style of video.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And on the rare occasion, because I haven't done one in a really long time, I would do the indie game dev vlogs, which I haven't done in a really long time. Not because I'm not working on it, but what I'm doing isn't necessarily vlog worthy.
Yeah.
It's not particularly noteworthy, um, and that may change in the future, and it may not, because
Well,
what I'm trying to make is so far out that
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's appropriate to necessarily try and hype it up yet. I mean, I don't even have a title for it.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to skip down a couple questions and I'll come back to some others. That is a
Sure.
perfect segue to this question. You're developing an indie game. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about it. What are the challenges so far, and what have been the most fun parts of it thus far?
The biggest challenge, honestly, at this point, is actually just finding time for it.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I gave up streaming and Let's Playing and everything else,
And
I'd
having
have
a
lot
life.
more- well, yeah, too, because I'm married and I have a wife and a son,
Yeah.
which certainly puts time constraints on it. If I just said the hell with it, I'm not doing streaming and Let's Playing anymore, and just throwing that all out the window, I'm sure I'd have a lot more time to do it. But I'm not really willing to do that. I don't know if I would ever be willing to do that unless I actually did face the burnout, as they say, and
Yeah.
it just isn't fun or beneficial to me in any way. And in which case, I guess then I would. But that would be regardless of whether or not I'm working on a game or not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the most challenging and I'd say frustrating part of it. Not even the technical side of it, because as far as the technical side of it goes, there's videos online for anything you might want to know. The best video resource being Brackeys. They have a very large YouTube channel where they talk about stuff, how to do stuff in Unity, which is
Alright.
what I'm using. Unity is a kind of like the quintessential game engine for indie developers. It's fantastic. And you can make 2D or 3D games. In fact, when you open a new project, the first thing they say is it's going to be a 2D or 3D project. And then it kind of just sets things up accordingly to how you want to do it. And so I've been actually finding I've been really getting a lot of entertainment out of doing the pixel art aspect of it. That's actually been quite a bit of fun. I thought that pixel art would just be tedious and annoying, but I am finding that there's how do I describe it? You find this artistic sense out of the limitations of
Yes.
pixels. Like okay, you have to make a mouth, but you've only got 4 pixels to do it. So how are you going to do that? And overcoming some of those challenges and becoming really interesting, and then especially when you can make it look good, it's really rewarding after that.
Yeah.
So then, so I'm kind of going back and forth between that and learning how to do things in Unity because I haven't actually made a game before. And I kind of have lofty goals with this one. Like I've got pretty well most aspects of the story of the game figured out. There's going to be.
Well, I
like,
was actually, before we continue, I was going to ask you about that. What exactly, if you can give non-spoilery details, could you give me any information about the plot of the game? Because I've watched your streams, I've watched you design some of the characters and some of the assets. I'm fascinated by what you're going to do plot-wise.
Right. Well, plot-wise, it's going to take take place over several different time periods. There's a few in between time periods that I'm not sure what I want to do, but basically there's going to be time travel between the medieval times and then all the way to the to like the futuristic,
Flying cars, big metropolis situation.
Flying cars, metropolis, cyberpunk kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then even into the post-apocalyptic. So those are the three main ones. I think I might want to do another one that's kind of like Neon 80s, but it might be a little bit too similar to the futuristic world. So I'm not quite sure I want to do there. I know I don't want to do just from medieval to the future, but I'm not sure exactly.
You could do like another dimension situation, maybe like your character goes to another dimension, or like maybe they go to the 80s, but they're in a specific like place in the 80s that would have that aesthetic, maybe something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Anything's really possible.
Yeah.
The overall story arc, though, without I guess you could say getting too spoilery, is you have to go through several points within time to try and prevent something from happening, but there's going to be a twist involved with that, and you're going to quickly find out at a certain point that the stakes are a lot higher than you had originally anticipated, and there's going to be parts of the game that get very, very dark.
Yeah.
Particularly I want the ending to be, or not necessarily the ending of itself, but towards the end of the game, things are going to get very, very dark and disturbing. The post-apocalyptic levels are going to be pretty disturbing. You're going to be fighting some pretty hideous things there.
Okay, so is it going to be like mutants that you're fighting in the post-apocalyptic stages, or is it going to be like?
I think that's probably as close a description as I could give right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, what was I going to say? So yeah, there's going to be kind of some supernatural elements as well as some futuristic elements, kind of all through the game, and they're going to intertwine in a particular way. The one thing that I can't quite decide on yet is basically what the origin of your powers are going to be. I have an idea of what I want that to be, but I'm not sure if I can write it in a way that's good or compelling. Like I don't want people to, see that this is the origins of your power, and then they just go, oh. I want it to be compelling, and so that might be difficult.
You could maybe do like a less is more situation and just be like, you are the chosen one, or some crap like that. Like, you have been endowed with these powers.
It might be roughly something like that, because it's I guess sort of a MacGuffin of the story. Like it does, ultimately in the long run of the story, it may not necessarily matter that much, because what will come out of that is just good gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, so yeah, that's kind of the overall uh, arc of it, I guess you could say, without getting too much into it. But yeah, gameplay wise, there's going to be melee combat as well as long range combat. It's going to be like a pixel art side scroller.
All right.
Um, yeah, and then there you might have some enemies that become friends, some friends that become enemies.
So
That kind
if
of
you
thing.
were to put a genre behind this game, like if you were to in some way tie it down to a specific genre, what exactly would you put it under?
I'd say probably an action platformer.
An action
And
platformer?
yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
but a sort of I'm not I don't know if you'd consider this RPG elements or not, but I want you to be able to have dialogue choices in the game. I don't know if they would necessarily vastly affect the events of the game, but it would just kind of maybe shape your character a bit more.
That is
And
kind of an RPG sort of thing, like a BioWare game, sort of choices and such.
yeah, yeah, it does I don't know if it would have any drastic effect on the outcome of the game. Kind of like actually a little bit more comparable would actually be like Katana Zero, because
Yeah.
you do get to choose your dialogue on that game, but it's ultimately not that consequential.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me, which I'm okay with. It just the choice on its own and shaping that particular scene, I think, is enough in a lot of cases. Um, and also, I want you to be able to customize your gear a little bit, like change your
Yeah.
change your clothing and stuff. I think that might be interesting.
Maybe that could be a part of the choices you're given, perhaps, is like you can make a lot of the character customization bound to like what choices you make dialogue wise, perhaps. Like if your if a character asks you like, "Oh, what are you gonna go out wearing that or something?" You could be like, "Yeah,
That
what's
could be
wrong with
interesting.
it?" Or you could be like, "Oh, of course not," and they're like, "Here, then put this on," or something like that.
Oh, that's really interesting. Actually, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, yeah. It could end up being something like that, because and maybe I would even have it so that you unlock more items depending on through multiple playthroughs. Like you have to do like maybe a couple playthroughs to unlock everything.
Yeah, you could try and give
Yeah.
it. You can try and give it a save system like Dead Rising, where you can just literally accidentally save your game the wrong way and go back to the beginning, and then you'll still be leveled though.
Sure, sure. Yeah, let's do that.
It gives the game so much replay value because you have no choice.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, so the rest of my questions are just BS. Do you have anything else to add to that one before I move on?
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would add is that right now I've been kind of stuck on doing the pixel art for one particular character. You know which one I mean.
Yes,
And
I know.
because I've been really kind of a perfectionist with this particular character, because I keep looking at it, and some days I'm happy with it, and I come back to it and say, no, this is shit. It's missing everything. I keep going back and forth on it. But I think with the new armor pieces that I've added to her, I think I've finally found where I
Yeah.
want to be with
Oh,
it.
you did
And
ask
so,
me for feedback on that on Twitter the other day. Did you get my reply on that?
oh yeah, I actually went with the third choice, which was neither one of them. So,
Which one do you
and
want?
I was just like,
Which
oh
one do
yeah,
you
but
think is right, Nathan? The one that I choose. No, the one that's not even an option.
yeah, yeah. So I ended up going to the third one because I changed the position of the a part of it, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's way better, that and so that's what I decided to go with.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and then so I'm gonna fiddle around and now that I've finally got that right, I'm gonna fiddle around and do some animations, like get an animation of her flying, get a few kicks and punches in there,
Get an
and
animation of her eating an entire Toblerone,
sure, why not?
and then like
That'll just be
looking at herself in the mirror, wondering what went wrong.
it'll be like if you leave the idle animation for 40 seconds, she'll just whip out a Toblerone and just down it.
Yes. She suckles on
So
the bell end of the Toblerone.
she would. Um, what was I
Exactly.
gonna say? So I think what's going to happen with the game in terms of development, like it's been so far, it's going to start really, really slow. But then when I get more of the gameplay mechanics figured out, like some of the basics, like just like the movement and some of the combat,
Yeah.
um, it's going to really take off at that point, because then I'll just be able to get to a point where it's, almost like Super Mario Maker, where I'm just designing levels and plopping in bad guys and messing around with that and seeing what works best and what's fun. How can I exploit the abilities that you have at that point in the game, and then add some dialogue and cutscenes to it.
All right.
Yeah.
So
it's starting real slow, but at some point it's gonna take right off.
yeah, and I know you plan on hiring other people at some point if you can't get everything done on your own, I believe.
I think probably what will most likely happen is I will get a certain point of it developed, but then I might do like a GoFundMe campaign and try to get enough funding to hire some people to do like backgrounds, maybe even some music, because I've fiddled around with music a little bit. And see, here's the thing: the most frustrating aspect of this is just the time that it's taking to do it. So while there might not be any particular demand for this game because it's not an existing IP, nobody
there's a demand for the style though.
Well, that's true enough, because you never know when something like that might kind of fade out.
Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't let that happen to me. If this game took like a decade to make, that would be totally unacceptable in my eyes. It's that's much too big a timeline. It can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might just settle on the things that I can, offshoot to somebody else, like backgrounds, music. Those are things that I think I could be happy with other people taking care of, because if it was something deeper like the writing or level design, well, that's something that I have to actively coordinate with other people, and that's just not something I can do on my schedule.
Yeah. You could have people like test it though and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could do that.
Now, I'm going to rapid fire you some questions. Were you going to say something though before I do that?
I think the only other thing I might do is that as I'm testing stuff in Unity, when I get something that resembles gameplay mechanics, maybe I'll release a smaller game that's just kind of whimsical, so that way I go through the process of publishing a game.
That's not a bad idea, to just kind of get started, to release like a small little thing to be like, okay, this is how this will be moving on.
Here's how I get a game out there.
Yeah, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. I've got like 4 more questions, and they're mostly troll questions, so I'm just gonna rapid fire those because I kind of skipped past those. Like, no, those won't go at this moment because we're talking about serious crap. Most of them are about Canada to begin with. The first one is, tell us about Canadian Sin Ham, a.k.a. Canadian bacon. Why does it exist? Why is it a thing? Are you sorry?
It's ham.
Are you sorry on behalf of Canada?
I'll take the fall for it. I'll apologize for it.
It was okay. Everyone, he's admitting to it. He created Canadian bacon.
It's a lie to try and get people to try a type of bacon that doesn't actually exist. It qualifies less as bacon than turkey bacon does. Turkey bacon is more bacony than Canadian bacon is.
The sad thing is, I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's just ham. It literally is.
Is there like any difference in the way it's processed or anything? Is it just literally ham?
Not in any meaningful way that I can tell. Not in any way that makes a difference to me and my taste buds.
Yeah. And for that matter, to any viewers in England, why do you call biscuits muffins? I want an exclamation. I want an explanation. Because I know they're a little different in texture, but that crap ain't a muffin, and you know it. Also, they're called French fries, not chips. Thank you very much.
Get it right.
Yeah, dude. You're insulting the French when you say that. Okay, the next question. So, when I was writing my show notes for this, I had been thinking about what am I going to ask him for like months. And then just one day I had this moment where I'm like, I know all the things I want to ask him. And I just quickly type this up. And normally when I'm typing show notes, I literally just type everything that comes to my mind. And then I sift through it later. And I'm like, that's a dumb question. That's a dumb question. But I had no time to really fully prep for this. So I've got a lot of questions about just dumb questions about Canada. This one on my show notes just says milk in bags ?
Well, at least in the area that I live, it's not nearly as common, but you can just get milk in bags instead of cartons. And it was actually a lot more popular when I was a kid. And what we usually do is we usually had we usually just had a jug that we would put the milk bag in, and we'd snip off a corner, and that was how you had your milk.
See, what you need to do, Sifu, you need to train your children in Canada from a young age to be warriors. And so you need to use the bag of milk to simulate the act of slicing open your enemy's stomach and drinking their fluids from the inside. That will prepare them for war when they finally challenge America. When Justin Trudeau rides in on a horse holding a Canadian flag with a sword in his hand, leading the cavalry out to battle. That is what will happen.
You're implying that Trudeau could do anything that resembles anything manly. So.
Yeah, he looks like a member of a boy band, by the way.
Well, I mean, he was a drama teacher, so you're about halfway there, I guess.
You see that photo of him in blackface, by the way?
Oh, that was totally real. It was totally 100% real. He did it on more than one occasion.
Yeah,
but he gets a pass because reasons.
He gets a pass because women think he's attractive, I think.
Which is just pains me.
I mean, I think that's a real thing about society. More attractive people often are just like, they get like a free pass. Like, I think freaking Justin Bieber ran over a member of the paparazzi on accident once, and they're like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Really?
I believe so. I don't want to be guilty of slander, but you can look that up in your leisure. I believe it's true.
Yeah, I might look that up, actually.
Yeah. All right, my next question is really dumb as well. It says loonies and toonies ?
Oh, yes. So in the States, you guys have $1 and $2 bills, right?
Yes. $2 bills are a bit more rare, but we have $1 bills, and $2 bills are like, people will get those and just keep them in a drawer like, look, I have a $2 bill. Isn't that neat?
Right, yeah. When I was a little kid, I do remember having a $2 bill, but that eventually changed into coins. So we don't have dollar bills or $2 bills. We have them in coin form.
Yeah.
And so the coin, the loonie is just like a. By the way, I don't know why it's called the loonie. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess someone was a fan of the Looney Tunes.
I guess so. So, it's sort of not a gold color, but it's kind of that kind of a color.
Yeah.
And then a toonie is. It's actually like a silver look on the outside with the gold look on the inside, like in the inner circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being very fascinated when they first came out. In fact, when they first came out, they had problems with the center being poked out of them.
Why? How did
they? I guess they didn't when they first started making toonies. They didn't use a good enough adhesive to keep them together.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, so last question of the night. Frick Marriage Murder. Princess Zelda, Princess Peach, and Samus. Which one?
That's really difficult. Wait, okay. Which one? Which is the list again?
Princess Zelda, Peach, and Samus.
Okay, it's Kill Fuck Marry?
Yep.
Oh. Oh. So maybe Peach, because she likes to make cakes. That's good wife material right there.
But she's also constantly being kidnapped.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, hang on.
And Zelda can hold her own in a fight. She's chic as well.
Okay, hang on. But I don't know if But I don't know if she makes cakes though. Uh,
She
um,
that's the true measure of a woman.
okay, so okay, so I'd marry Peach because she's very ladylike.
All right.
Fuck Samus because she's hot and she has a spaceship. Um, and
She has the spaceship is the real attractive part though.
yeah, and I think I'd kill Zelda because word on the street is she's an authoritarian bitch, and she wants to rule Hyrule with an iron fist.
All right. Well, you heard it first, people. My camera's becoming slowly more yellow as the broadcast goes on, but you heard it first, people. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. If you take a poop, I'll keep you in the loop.